Yes.
Okay. Right. I mean, frankly, I don't know what to say. It is, yes, kind of breathtaking and amazing work. Yeah, so, but we need to initiate some discussion, I guess, and I hope that it is going to pick up momentum as people sort of start processing it. And yeah, but Shubhadita, you have been involved in this process for a long time. Would you like to say anything about this?
No, I think they should say about their
No, I mean,
film and.
you have said, now you say.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it picturizes a really important phase, socially, politically, and everything. But I have a question. Like this shift that you talked about, from the left-dominated politics in Bengal to the right-wing BJP. Do you think that it's a kind of shift that is almost semi-permanent, that they are not going to get back their footholds in some way or the other? Or, I mean, what is your opinion on that part? And also, yeah, I mean, that's a question.
Should we use the mic or are we audible?
You are audible.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's fine. এখানে just take it.
Let it be there.
And maybe if you want to.
See, I mean, this is only a snapshot, right? So this snapshot that you see here is more or less from 2016 to 2021. It's still ongoing. Everything is still ongoing. Electorally, the left right now is in a very, very bad shape. You all know that. Electorally, I don't see anything changing right now. But in Bengal, left has not only been associated with one or two parties, but left has always been associated with movements of all kinds against whoever is ruling, right? So that is still ongoing. So every day people are on the streets. Even the CPIM, which was voted out of power, they are on the streets in the teachers' recruitment movement. Other lefts are also there. So in that sense, movements have not stopped even for a day. So in that sense, it's still there. But electorally, it's quite the shift is quite remarkable and quite abrupt, and it's a quantitative and qualitative jump. And what is also very abrupt is like you see the public expression. Previously, things used to be said in hushed whispers. People were very ashamed of saying certain things in public, even if they believed in some of that. Communal stuff used to be, if somebody was doing that, then they used to be shamed by their friend circles. You wouldn't hear such things in buses, but that has changed. So the last 4-5 years, you can hear ridiculous things being said on the bus, which is openly communal. The kind of the proliferation of religiosity, and it's displayed, like, not in the sense of a spiritual way of worshipping gods, but in a sense of this is our political assertion. Religion is the new political assertion. That has really stepped up. So it's full of it all through the year now. And could you imagine somebody being forced to say, like some old beggar who is even blind, and he's an old man, like forcing him to say that, and even after that nothing much stirred up. So this general psyche has really abruptly changed, and with it the electoral thing has also really is being quite abrupt. And I don't see it reversing anytime really soon, but maybe it has also got to do with what happens at the central level. So because a lot of money is involved, a lot of that is involved. So
I have a kind of follow-up. So, particularly that footage from Basu, where these traders, I think I'm audible. The traders, they openly confessed that they have been hit hard. But country comes first. So this psyche, I mean, you have been talking to people and you were part of BJP campaign and afterwards also. So I know in Bengal every day people are out on the streets, not just CPIM but all shades of left democratic forces on people's issues. But this damage to the psyche, that doesn't matter whether my livelihood is kind of shattered, yet I will basically vote for whosoever is showing a fervor of nationalism or something. Is that going to stay, or how to counter that?
So I think this would be like, this is our kind of reading that we like to believe. I think the situation is much more complex than that. BJP is rising in Bengal not because they are came up with a certain kind of politics, which is supposedly overshadowing the politics of food and hunger and everything. I don't think the situation is much complex than that. One has to realize that a force like BJP rises in certain state with the failure of other political parties too. If you are trying to understand the situation in Bengal from a common man's perspective, what he or she is getting, if he or she thinks that this economy is not giving him or her whatever is his or her due, and somebody is giving him identity, that will always appeal to that person, because you are not giving a solid economic alternative to BJP. That for one. When we think of just that why they are not fighting for food and jobs and everything, why they are fighting for religiosity, one has to understand the neoliberal economy is failing. Whoever is in power, be it even in CPIM, be it TMC, be it Congress, they are not giving a way out from this neoliberal economy. And that is the reason why not only in India, all over the world, the figures like Modi are emerging. That is the one thing to remember. Secondly, one has to answer that BJP has successfully done a social engineering Bengal, which is not only BJP but the RSS, BJP, Sankt Parivar. For example, they have picked out Rajbanshis. They have their unique grievances in that region. They have a unique grievances against South-dominated state government. They have grievances with, maybe not grievances, but they're competition with Bengali-speaking Muslim communities in Coach Bihar and that areas. So there are some real issues. Like for example, in you take Matua community. Matua community is coming from Bangladesh, and they have competition with land-wielding Muslim population in Nodia and other parts of the. So there are economic reasons too. It's not that there are not economic reasons. There are economic reasons of competition. There are economic reasons of subsistence, which they think that if they weed out some community, they would gain by that. For example, one of the things that they used to say before election, that if we come to power, Muslims will be this shop, this land, we'll just root them out, and you will get those shops and those lands. So there is an economic reason to it. It's not that there is an economic rationale to it. That's the first thing. And when we read a local newspaper or the national newspaper, we completely forget the kind of the work that RSS and Sankt Parivar is doing. They are giving people a real alternative in the sense that they are giving them education, they are giving them help, they are standing by them in their hour of need. We forget that. Unless and until you have to fight BJP, right? And you are fighting for liberal values, that won't do. There are economic issues, there are real sustenance issues that needs to be fought out. You have to have a certain kind of alternative to the whole gamut of things that they are offering to the people. You have to give them some kind of identity that they can be really proud of. You have to give them certain kind of alternative to the economic regime that they don't see any future to. You have to give them certain kind of help in their hour of need, not just Andolan. You have to give them, they need education. You have to give them education, certain kind of education. You have to give them that. If they are fighting for help, you can't just say in a socialist state everybody will get help. Right now you have to do something for that. If you can't do that, I don't think BJP or RSS would be defeated anytime soon, not only in Bengal, but all over India. Yeah.
Am I loud enough?
Yeah.
So I have very procedural questions. So first one is that what were some ethically or morally significant moments in crafting of your project and execution? The second question. Okay, you would like to answer?
No, just.
Okay. The second question is the movie's title is Bid for Bengal, but it looked like more of a bid for Kolkata because none of the frames were outside of Kolkata. How the title justifies that kind of movie? And third is mostly an aesthetic question. What was your thought process in choosing the background score? It had a sharp disjunction, that sort of points.
Do you want to mention which points you noticed?
There was this point that when the mosque, Babri mosque came and
Yeah. So three questions, right? So first of all, ethical and moral. Well, see, in a documentary like this, in which when you begin filming, you do not know what's going to come in the end. So you don't know beforehand that what the result of an election will be or what the people will say, because none of these are, except for one or two, none of these are leaders, right? I think only two are leaders. The others are foot soldiers or general public. So it's like you go out there and whoever is willing or consenting to talk to you or letting themselves be filmed, you film them, right? So there is no spy camera business or anything done covertly, or even our identities are not hidden. So they know our names, they know that we are making a film, and that's how you shoot. Now you may ask that how then did you get entry? Maybe that's what you're trying to understand, right? So you see, that is completely up to luck to a large bit, because we were filming during an election, usually during or maybe during two elections, like 2 years later another election. During election time you can actually get access to anyone really, because lots of journalists are going in and out, interviewing people, going into their what they call war rooms. That's a very loaded word, but that's how election rooms are mentioned these days. So you can go there with your own name, not hiding anything, and they'll still give you access. IT cell people generally do not give interview, like he said, right? They never give interviews on camera. But maybe it was during election time and we kept at it. So you have to be very persistent if you are a documentary filmmaker. Somebody doesn't give you consent once, doesn't mean that you do not go back and ask for it again. So if you try and try and try, someday your luck will work. So that's about the process. And about ethical and moral, I don't know what you exactly mean. If you can be more specific, I can say.
So there was one frame when Rahul Sinha said that don't shoot this, but you actually put it in
No, he was saying that don't shoot now, and I was saying that I'm adjusting my camera. So he was not doing anything particular which cannot be shown or anything. He's just saying that I'm still on the phone, so yeah. So I didn't catch any of his audio or anything like that. And even with the guy who was counting cows, etc. So we got the footage and we called him up, and he was very happy to give his footage. He was very happy to be filmed and get some attention. So we have his consent on phone, if you're meaning those things, those issues. So that's it. And the rest is more of the, just like the ethics a street photographer or a photojournalist would follow. Like when you don't go with a consent form on the street, right? When you are shooting a picture, what you do is you just do the real norm is that you just do a eye contact, and if somebody is unwilling, they will tell you by eye contact that I don't want to be filmed. They'll put a hand up or something, just like you would be if someone was filming you abruptly. But if they don't do that, they're very aware. People these days very aware of cameras, so they'll let you do it. So that's like how we go about this ethically. About the background score, a lot of it is just sync sound. So the camera sound, the sync sound. Some of it is design sound. The azan that you heard is sync sound. So it really was there. The abrupt thing comes when there's this fire all around, and then we wanted to change it to the sound of water. Water is what douses the fire, right? So we had that shot among all our footage of that watery body, which gives a sense of peace, and it comes after that sudden, because you're watching a film and you don't want to be constantly like hit like that. So sometimes you want to come down, then you go to the next episode. So those kind of aesthetic considerations while editing the film. Also a contrast, between water and fire. Right. Your third question was? Kolkata, right, yeah. So see, it's not that all the frames are from Kolkata, but a few from suburbs and areas. But the thing is, the story is not only of Kolkata. Although, we are filming a certain constituency, etc. So, yeah, so there is this question has also come up in previous discussions. So, for example, let's go to different parts of Bengal. If we go to North Bengal, there's a very complex story over there. If we go to the eastern border of Bengal, which is the Bangladesh border, then there will be other issues coming up. You go to the western border of Bengal with Jharkhand, that industrial belt, there will be some specifics of that region. You go to the coast, different story. You go to the tribal area, a little bit different story. But then there is also a common story. I think this film is not so much Kolkata specific in the sense that it doesn't pick on very Kolkata specific things, but more on the common story in entire Bengal. Then there are regional specifics. So we do not really go into that because first of all it wouldn't be complete in 70 minutes. It would go on and on, maybe some more episodes of the same film. Secondly, like this film, if it was done in 2.5 years mostly, from the first day till the end of the edit, also like 1.5 year of that was COVID period. So there was a lot of restriction on movement. So we were really a crew of 3 people, really, most of the time. So between like 3 of us trying to cover so much with a very small budget, and it was not possible really to travel to different parts, but we tried to have resonances of different areas. Like you see, like this guy, when he's talking about their operations, he's talking about entire Bengal, he's talking about the coastal area, what they're doing, where they focus, all those things are coming in. But yeah, so that's the gist.
There is another point and that needs to be understood. Like we are not making a PhD thesis. We are like we are trying to make a film out of it. And when you try to make a film, it's easier. For example, if you have to write an article right now, I'll say that there is Rajbanshi problem, there is Matua issues, there are other issues. It's easier to do. But also, it's not a film only about Bengal. It's also about us. It was a personal thing in that sense. And what we were doing and what was our background was part of the film itself. So yeah, so that way one has to understand, like, film has its own language. Even if we want to have the same kind of information from what we get from a book and what we want from a film is different. At the end of the day, we're trying to make an aesthetically pleasing film as well. We are not writing an article, so yeah.
Okay, I have one question. Like Bengal always had this cultural identity. So in the film, we saw a bit of shift from one constituency that is mostly in the Barazar region, which has a different, a significantly different demography than the rest of Kolkata and Bengal. So I would like to understand, like, what has been, or has there been any cultural change or cultural shift at the grassroots level, like the culture of the common people at the villages, at the like the small events, the small rituals that we see at the village level or in the regional. Has those been affected, or how did they change, or are they being any impeded?
Yeah, there is some change and there is also some continuity. So talking about significant changes that we have seen in this time period. For example, I'll give you an example. So you know the Tarokeshwar Jatra,
Yes.
you know, right? So there's this month where everybody, it's like a sort of a penance type of thing. So with barefoot, people will travel carrying that water and all these things. Previously, it used to be very simple, like you have seen in old Bengali films like Shondharai, crying and singing songs, and more of a penance and very sad story, and not just sad but also like bhakti type. Now, if you go there, you will see DJ mixes which are totally imported from. It's not native. It talks about a sheep who is very masculine,
Yes.
who is very aggressive, and who in the song, if you look at the lyrics, it says that if you don't worship this Shiv, he will like destroy you. That never used to be Tarokeshwar thing, right? So that, if you call that, that's quite a significant change in the very grassroots, because Tarokeshwar Shiv is not an elite god. Nobody, like this kind of crowd, nobody goes to Tarokeshwar Jatra. Only the working class people go there. Then if you go to Sundarban, you have this tiger god, Dokhin Rai Bon Bibi. So Dokhin Rai used to have Dari, right? Dari is diminishing in some parts. So the idols are being changed. That's another thing. So small things. Even even a reaction to this is also happening in the Muslim community in rural Bengal. So lots of Fakir and Baul, they are under attack. So Fakirs are, there are several incidents around Nodia, Murshidabad, where Fakirs have been attacked by more radical people who want more Wahhabi type of mosques and those kind of things in rural areas, not like some huge project or something like that. So both sides, and so these are significant things. Also, new festivities like Ganesh Pujo never used to happen. Now it's like all over the place, huge money. Where's that money coming from? Then Janmashtami, people used to do it in their homes. It used to be a very domestic thing, if you remember. Now it is like, I've never seen Janmashtami being done outside like Ganesh Chaturthi, but it's being done. Right, so those things are there. Language has become a tussle point. Like we tried to hint a little bit, it's more than that. This Joy Bangla slogan that Trinamool encashed on, it was not their slogan. It was started by other fringe outfits who had just begun appearing 5-6 years back, 4 years back. But they saw that there is some, we can cash on this because people are clinching to it. They are accepting some of that because there are certain material things and then there is also some provocation. So those are shifts that's happening. Also, North Kolkata is not just Bada Bazar, it's also Raja Bazar. It's also like, it's a huge area, by the way. It's quite big and it's quite diverse. So we chose that constituency because it was where RSS was born in Bengal. The Hindu-nationalist, RSS, all of them had all their central offices in that constituency. So there's something special about that. So we wanted to. It also has a huge Bengali population, like Bengali Hindu, and yeah. So yeah.
I have some questions related to your film. So,
I thought that there may be one clip, anyway it's your prerogative what we will keep or not, the incidents in coffee house, like Amar Buke Khutiram. I don't know whether you remember it, no? As a young girl, she was shouting, and there are some incidents there. So that catch my point at that time, and this was an expectation from your movie. And another thing I really like, it's a very witty thing, is Bengali cow. I don't know it is instantaneous or and
Actually, in that sequence, there was even more fun.
I have one more
Yeah.
question. The small television set in your house, it's really
It's from an old age. It shows like my parents are really old school. So yeah, it's still there.
That is the significance of Bengali household.
yes,
actually.
exactly.
That is a television set from 1984 Seoul Olympics. It was bought to watch the Seoul Olympics in 1984 and it's still running. Now about the cow sequence, now there was more fun because you have to edit out, so you have to like throw away most of your footage. This guy who was accompanying Bhutoria, who's the main person, you remember that guy, there was one guy with him. He was, while going on that cow counting mission, he was very passionately reciting poems of Shukanto Bhattacharya. Strange as it might seem, he was saying, Priya ke amar kerechish tora, bhulechish barbari, shekotha ki ami bhulite pari. He was very passionately saying those. We wanted to keep all that for the comedy element of it, but in the end we gave it up because it was getting long, and so it was so surreal. obviously he has come from a certain specific zone to jump into this hellfire, but then that's for everybody to guess.
So one edit everybody misses out is that when Jyoti Basu is saying Shromik Krishak Mehanati Manush Madhavittu, and the next time you see that people are saying Jai Shri Ram. That is a very interesting thing. Like, who were there in 1989 Jai Shri Ram movement when left was talking about them being Shromik Krishak Mehanati Manush Madhavittu, and Shromik Krishak Mehanati Manush Madhavittu was saying Jai Shri Ram. It was not only this visual thing, and that was the edit decision that he made. That I thought I should share it.
Okay, one quick question. What was the last song which you used in this?
That was the Jatiyo Sangit has 5 stanzas. Jatiyo Sangit is the first stanza of a 5 stanza song, Bharat Bhagya Vidhata. So the unsung anthem is the 4 stanzas which are not sung as Jatiyo Sangit. So those are 2 stanzas from there. We just, the singer decided not to sing Joy Hai, and the rest she sung just like meditatively a little bit, like a lullaby style.
Also, Moshul used to sing this in NRC anti-CA protest sites in Far Circus a lot. Even in the rallies, Moshul used to sing that. So it became a song of anti-CA, anti-NRC movement in Bengal. So yeah, so that was one of the reasons why I kept this song.
Lovely song, and Moshumidi's voice, I mean, is like something else altogether. I think we will just stop the live stream now and we will carry on the discussion. So, Rubul, to be honest, thank you, Rubul, for setting all of this up.
Rubul
And
has been
yeah,
very
Rubul
helpful.
has been an absolute rock.